Hello everyone, Justin Vacula here with the Hurdy Gurdy Travel Podcast. I'm here to help you travel the world at next to no cost with credit card points, miles, benefits, and rewards. Make money, save money, and take advantage of great deals. Today is another YouTube/podcast episode where I will be responding to more of Dave Ramsey. So I've released about 5 videos so far in my Dave Ramsey playlist. And there's new news, or at least June 1st, 2023, recording today, June 5th of 2023, religion news service, Dave Ramsey sued for $150 million by former fans who followed his timeshare exit advice. This class action lawsuit is the latest legal woe for Ramsey and his company. So let's scroll down here if you're watching the video. Religion News Service says a group of former followers of Dave Ramsey has sued the Christian finance guru and radio host, along with his company and marketing firm, for endorsing a failed timeshare exit company that allegedly defrauded customers out of millions. So in previous chats here, podcast episodes, YouTube videos, I've responded to a lot of Dave Ramsey's terrible takes on credit, on debt, basically everything he says about personal finance, other than the frugal life being a good thing, being smart about your purchases. Yes, I've been preaching that messages for years here on the Hurdy Gurdy Travel Podcast, embracing the frugal lifestyle. On my other podcast, the Stoic Solutions Podcast, be smart about your spending, be intentional, be mindful, don't be a mindless consumer. Question what you're buying and what it's all worth. Is it really worth it? Are we trading our time for these useless possessions, these really expensive cars that you'd probably be better off without? All the Bugattis. I don't even want a Bugatti. I'd rather just have a modest used vehicle rather than trying to, in many cases, show off to others. So my main gripe with Dave Ramsey is that he's depriving people of travel. He's saying, don't use credit, don't use credit cards, it's all bad. He's so extreme with it, saying no debt at all. Can go over to his recent Twitter here. The only good debt is a debt that is paid off. Debt is normal, but the truth is that you should not want to be normal. You should be willing to be weird. Weird is when you live sacrificially in the present, pay off your past, and invest in a financially peaceful future. So yeah, his take on debt, I mean, I'm more than happy to pay a small rate on an auto loan, a mortgage, something like that can make sense. He preaches about mortgage, but a lot of his other perspectives are pay everything in cash, pay up front, save, don't use credit at all, even if you're responsible. He's actively depriving people of travel, assuming they can be responsible with credit, because he's telling people not to use credit cards under any circumstances. The banks are evil, don't do it. It's just a bad take from him. So this is my main gripe with him. Let's get back to the article here. 17 former Ramsey listeners filed a class action lawsuit in the U.S. District Court for Western Washington, alleging Ramsey was paid as much as $30 million from 2015 to 2021 to endorse Timeshare Exit Team, a Kirkland, Washington-based firm that collected $200 million from clients, many of them Ramsey listeners, in exchange for a promise to free them from timeshare obligations. The promise came with a money-back guarantee, but the company, which often collected more than $5,000 per customer, failed to live up to its promises. In 2021, Reed Hine and Associates LLC, which did business as Timeshare Exit Team, paid $2.61 million to settle a deceptive business practices lawsuit filed by the Attorney General of Washington State, and later went out of business. The lawsuit alleges that Ramsey, Timeshare Exit Team, and Happy Hour Media Group, a marketing firm with ties to Brandon Reed, one of the followers of Timeshare Exit Team, violated the Washington Consumer Protection Act by defrauding customers, committed negligent malrepresentation, and were guilty of unjust enrichment and conspiracy. So lots of charges here. We'll get into a little bit later Ramsey's response to this, but you see there are a lot of allegations here. It's not, oh, well, they just couldn't fulfill the promises. They're saying deceptive practices, malrepresentation, unjust enrichment, a lot of these legal terms here, deceptive business practices. So the promise came with the money back guarantee. People wanted their money back. Were they getting their money back? According to the lawsuit, it seems that that's not the case. Plaintiffs allege they relied on Ramsey's enthusiastic support for Timeshare Exit Team and his expertise in finance when they decided to do business with the company. So that's a dubious thing first, believing that Ramsey is some financial expert when I've mentioned it here, A lot of bad financial takes from Ramsey, seeing debt and credit as this terrible, terrible thing that everybody should avoid at all cost. Very bad financial takes from Ramsey. So it's unfortunate. The listeners should also be very sad thinking that Ramsey has some financial expertise when I just don't think it's the case because he has so many bad financial takes. Let's go on here. Known for his hatred of timeshare companies, Ramsey had boasted about his confidence in the expertise of the timeshare exit team. In a 2018 segment of his show, a video which remains on the YouTube page of The Ramsey Show, Ramsey told listeners he had looked for years to find a company that can help people get out of timeshares. I never could find anything until I found this company called Timeshare Exit Team, he said in the segment, which touted the company's money-back guarantee. About 3 years ago, we started endorsing them, and I've had so much fun peeing off the timeshare people. So Ramsey saying, okay, I looked into it. Yes, they have the money back guarantee. We started endorsing them. We'll see in his YouTube clip that's interestingly now unlisted for some reason. That Ramsey saying, yeah, we really looked into this company. We just don't endorse any given company, but we did endorse Timeshare Exit Team. So Ramsey saying, yes, I did look into it. So it's really not aging well for him. Continuing with the article here, as previously reported by Religion News Service, Ramsey stuck by the company despite its legal troubles and allegations that it defrauded customers, claiming government officials, reporters, and the timeshare industry had conspired against them. Instead of acknowledging the deception, Ramsey recorded a 9-minute audio segment, we'll get into that later, in which he lashed out at anyone he felt to be responsible for Reed Hines' woes, the complaint alleges. The complaint also details the tactics allegedly used by Reed Hines to defraud Ramsey's listeners. After signing contracts with customers, the company would allegedly tell them to stop paying their timeshare fees and created fake property deeds aimed at convincing customers they were free of their timeshares. When customers financially discovered the schemes and demanded their refunds, Reed Hines fabricated excuses not to honor the promises or stopped returning their calls, the complaint alleges. The plaintiffs in the lawsuit argue that Ramsey should have known better than to endorse Timeshare Exit Team. The complaint alleges that the Lampo group he runs, which he does business as Ramsey Solutions, began receiving complaints about Timeshare Exit Team as early as 2016, and he continued to endorse the company even after Better Business Bureau warned consumers about Timeshare Exit Team, and courts found the company had acted in a fraudulent manner. So Ramsey's getting this information years ago, but Ramsey keeps endorsing, and we'll hear Ramsey's response in a later video. This was mentioned in the article that Ramsey is saying things like, oh, well, Timeshare Exit Team didn't do anything wrong. Timeshare Exit Team was too successful. Timeshare Exit Team had so much business, they couldn't handle it all. And as this saying, this article says something like, oh, the timeshare companies were trying to wreck Timeshare Exit Team by filing all these complaints. But we're seeing legal troubles. The lawsuit is naming here, after signing contracts with customers, the company would allegedly tell them to stop paying their fees and created fake property deeds aimed at convincing customers they were free of their timeshares. So fraudulent manner, fake promises allegedly were not fulfilled. People didn't get money back even though there was a money back guarantee. Let's continue to this article. Ramsey has gained the trust of millions of followers through his long-running radio show, conferences, and Financial Peace University, a faith-based personal finance program taught in churches around the country. His expertise, the complaint alleges, should have made him aware the Timeshare Exit Team was not to be trusted. So yeah, people got duped. They got duped thinking that Ramsey had this great financial idea, this Financial Peace University. I'm going to ask listeners, like, what is Ramsey really good for? Why is he so popular? And we could look at his Twitter takes here and just see bad takes all the time. Here, he writes, "You are not simple or emotional if you believe in being debt-free. What we have been taught about good debt is what brings us to the pathetic financial state this economy is in." So again, it's this thing that no debt can be good. Even if we can owe money, make money on the money we owe, outpacing the interest rate, like, that's bad. It's this black and white perspective. And is it really the case that when I'm taking out an auto loan for a modest used vehicle, that this is the pathetic financial state the economy is in? So yeah, another bad financial take on debt here. Just seeing it as a bad thing here. Want to get out of debt? Change your habits. You need to commit on getting on a written game plan, a budget, and sticking to it. Get an extra job and start paying off the debt. Live on less than you make. It's not rocket science. Well, that's a really interesting thing. What if we don't want to pay the debt because it's a very low interest rate? It's this perspective, all debt bad. Now, okay, if you're paying some like 20, 25% debt on credit cards, obviously a bad thing. Maybe credit's not for you, but just to say all debt is bad, there's no such thing as good debt is just really, really wild. He's going on, the message hasn't changed. Have a budget, live on less than you make, and don't owe people money. So again, debt is bad. Owing people money is bad. Not necessarily the case. Like I just opened a card with US Bank for a $750 welcome offer for the US Bank leverage credit card. I'm going to charge things to the card. I'm going to pay off the balance in full. I'm not going to pay interest. So what's so bad about owing people money if I'm just going to pay the balance in full? Like he's so dogmatic about this, about debt being such a bad thing. It's just bad takes from him. Here, 4 things you should agree on before marriage. Where do we stand on money? How do religious views impact our marriage? Are we going to have kids? What are our boundaries? Like, is this really profound stuff? I mean, this is, I'm sure you could get these takes from other people. Like, okay, have serious conversations before you get married with people. Like, yeah, that's, I guess, pretty, like, yeah, not really, not really so interesting. Here, he's lamenting credit cards again. For some people, that's the only financial lesson they got from their parents. Make sure things are different for your kids. If you don't, they'll learn from their friends, the media, and credit card offers in the mail. Ooh, credit card offers in the mail, such a bad thing. Even though US Bank is giving me $750 to use their credit card. Don't think about those credit card offers in the mail. Yeah, so we'll go back to the article here. So people got doubly duped. Great allegedly great personal finance information. I'm just not seeing it here. Yes, okay, live the frugal life, but this message is not unique. We've heard this from many people. I've been preaching it for years here. Let's get back to this article. Reed Hine made many claims that any competent financial advisor with Dave Ramsey's knowledge and skill would know to be false. It engaged in many activities Dave Ramsey would have known to be illegal, according to the complaint. The lawsuit names Happy Hour Media Group, which the complaint alleges helped promote Timeshare Exit Team. Happy Hour was co-founded by Brendan Reed, who also co-founded Timeshare Exit Team. According to Washington State Attorney General, Reed has been a rain gutter salesman when he founded Timeshare Exit Team and started the company after seeing a long line in another Timeshare Exit company's booth at a trade show. He had no legal expertise or experience of getting people out of timeshare. So according to this, they're saying no, he didn't have the authority to really get them out of this. He made promises to customers that simply did not pan out. The article continues. The company's sales exploded after it began to advertise on Ramsey's radio show, according to the complaint. The company stopped advertising on Ramsey's show in 2021, which Ramsey blamed on the cost of fighting a massive set of lawsuits against it. Happy Hour did not reply to a request for comment, neither did Ramsey Solutions. Among the plaintiffs named in the complaint is Greg Larson, a longtime Ramsey listener and shipyard worker who allegedly heard Ramsey's endorsement of Timeshare Exit Team hundreds of times before contacting the company. Other plaintiffs include healthcare workers, retirees, and others who became Ramsey followers through their churches or the radio show. The complaint details the relationship between Ramsey and Timeshare Exit Team, one of the endorsed local providers who rely on Ramsey for business leads. Ramsey Solutions would collect these leads through its church-based programs, the company's website, and newsletters. Ramsey's followers were not aware he or the company were paid for endorsements for referrals, according to the complaint. It was a profitable enterprise for both parties, according to the complaint. So yeah, okay, well, they weren't aware Ramsey was paid for the endorsement. I don't really see what that has to do with it here. You would think that if Ramsey says, okay, here's a company we're endorsing, he's getting some kind of kickback, so maybe Ramsey could be a little bit more transparent. Who knows? But even if we dismiss that, the complaint here is that Ramsey should have looked better into the company. There were these practices going on that were called fraudulent, yet Ramsey continued to promote the company. The article goes on here. During the period Ramsey was promoting Reed Hine's scheme, customers referred to Reed Hine by defendants and paid Reed Hine in excess of $70 million for fees for timeshare exit, in quotes, according to the complaint. Ramsey never returned any of the tens of millions of dollars Reed and Happy Hour Media Group paid him from listeners' hard-earned money. Instead, Ramsey chose to profit from his listeners' money. For his part, Ramsey defended Timeshare Exit Team in public while distancing himself from the company behind the scenes. The Christian finance guru was subpoenaed by Washington State Attorney General in its lawsuit against Timeshare Exit Team. His lawyers objected, saying he was too busy to be deposed and was not responsible for the endorsement. So you endorsed them years ago. I have this clip. We will get to this clip. I'm coming for your So Scummy Dave Ramsey rant, now unlisted, but I have the link. So Ramsey is saying, yeah, we looked into it. We're endorsing this company. But now, he gets deposed. I wasn't responsible for the endorsement. I didn't have anything to do with that. I'm too busy to get these legal papers. Well, I don't think that's going to work out, Dave. It's like, okay, all of a sudden, you get home, police officer shows up, like, okay, we're serving you divorce papers. Oh, I'm too busy for that. I'm too busy. I can't do that right now. I'm not sure that's going to work out very well. So I guess Ramsey will have to lawyer up. We'll have to see what happens of this lawsuit, but I'm too busy to be deposed. The article goes on, while he has promoted Lampo's endorsement of Reed Hine on his radio program and on social media, he is not responsible for the details of the Reed Hine relationship. His attorneys wrote, okay, well, that's an interesting one. Reed's involved the timeshare exit team. According to this, timeshare exit team pitched this idea to Ramsey. Ramsey was promoting on the show, so I don't think we have too many degrees of separation there. The article continues, the class action lawsuit is the latest legal woe for Ramsey and his company. Several former employees have sued the company for discrimination, including one who was fired after telling her boss she was pregnant, and another who claimed the company had a cult-like environment. So yes, there was this past thing with Ramsey. Allegedly, there's this contract for living that you have to sign, that you're living these certain Christian values when you're joining his company. And one of those is no bedroom fun, let's say for YouTube censors here, outside of marriage. So it's not the case that, oh, she was pregnant and that's why she's fired, but, well, we can add things up here and figure that a certain bedroom act led to this pregnancy. So she's allegedly in violation of the business terms, and she's saying, okay, this is an illegal contract. You can't actually enforce this. I mean, just because you own a business doesn't mean you could just do whatever you want. There are certainly things like child labor laws. There's certain laws that you have to follow. So there's it's in contention right now about whether that rule is legal, that Ramsey can fire people because they had bedroom fun outside of marriage. Here's another one, said the company had a cult-like environment. So it's like, all right, well, I guess you could just say that, but is that a basis for a lawsuit? I don't really know. It said right here, returning to the article, through a private company, Ramsey Solutions is run like a church. Employees are expected to maintain a godly lifestyle and attend regular worship services at work. The company was once named one of the best places to work in the country, but its reputation has taken a hit in recent years due to Ramsey's outspoken objection to COVID-19 restrictions, saying here for YouTube, and the company's no gossip policy, which has often resulted in employees who complain of being fired and fostered a culture where employees are encouraged to report on each other for rules violations. So yeah, great place to work. Despite his legal troubles, Ramsey has remained defiant. His approach is perhaps best summed up in his 2021 defense of timeshare exit team, even though the company was dropped as an advertiser. Bring it, he said. You have done poked the wrong bear. You done peed off the wrong hillbilly. So let's get to that clip here. This is a YouTube clip called I'm Coming For You, You're So Scummy, Dave Ramsey Rant. Now, you can see the YouTube URL up here if you're watching, or it's youtube.com/watch?V equals 06V NI5HJPIU. So not the best for listening here, maybe more of a visual thing. But this is an unlisted video. Will this remain on the internet? Is this a Streisand effect thing where you're trying to hide it from people, but more people are going to look for it? Well, I got the video here. So let's hear what Ramsey has to say. This was 2 years ago, 883,000 views, where Ramsey is going to defend the timeshare exit team and himself. So let's hear what Ramsey has to say.
So I've been dealing with anything that causes you guys grief for 30 years here on the radio.
Okay, yeah. So I suppose I can agree with Ramsey in many cases that timeshare companies might not be behaving in the best of manners. I've gone to timeshare pitches. Personally, I haven't found the timeshares to be a good deal, so I've never signed up. But a lot of these companies will say, hey, if you attend our sales presentation, we will give you 3 free nights, 4 free nights, and we'll give you bonus Hilton points, bonus Wyndham points, whatever the case. Now, I'm pretty happy to trade an hour or two of my time to get 3 comped nights and get points. Sometimes you have to make a deposit on these things. You have to put up maybe like $195, $199, but then you get refunded after the presentation in many cases. So if I'm getting my money back, I'm getting bonus hotel points, bonus loyalty points, and I'm getting 3 or 4 nights, I'm usually pretty happy to do that. You say no to the presentation if you think it's not a good deal, and you move on. So Ramsey's complaining like, oh, these companies are so unethical. I'm like, okay, great. Then don't buy the timeshare, but you can still go ahead and listen to the presentation. And if you don't think it's a good deal, then you say no. I know a lot of people have said no, and they get the free nights. and it's overall a pretty good experience for people. But Ramsey, again, is going with this all bad attitude. The timeshare companies are horrible, blah, blah, blah. Instead of like, well, if you don't like the timeshare companies, you can listen to our presentation, say no, and get some free nights. But he won't tell you that.
And if we find something that gives you grief, we try to help you with it. If term life insurance is the way to go, we try to find a term insurance provider for you. If getting a high-quality real estate agent is a good thing, we try to do that for you. We do not...
Okay, good. So, yeah, you want to find a high-quality real estate agent. Ramsey's saying, okay, we're going to do due diligence. We're going to look into it. We're not just going to endorse anyone. We're going to look into it. And he's going to say here about Timeshare Exit Team, yeah, we vetted them. Yeah, they were great. So you kept saying, oh, where was it in the article? Something like, well, we didn't have really anything to do with that. Here it is. Instead of acknowledging the deception, Ramsey recorded a 9-minute audio segment in which he lashed out anyone who felt to be responsible for Reed Hines' woes. And it was something later on he's saying, oh, well, I didn't have much to do with it. He said he was busy. Yeah, here it was. Ramsey's lawyers objected, saying he was too busy to be deposed and he was not responsible for the endorsement. So was Dave Ramsey responsible for the endorsement of Timeshare Exit Team?
Endorse things on this show unless we believe in them.
I don't endorse things on the show unless we believe in them, Dave Ramsey says in his 2 years ago video.
Put my name or my voice on something merely for money.
I don't put my voice on something merely for money.
And the most successful endorsements that we've done on this show are things that have to do with a problem you have, and we connect you with someone that is an advertiser to solve that.
Okay, so he's saying, okay, we had successful endorsements. So will he say that he's endorsing Timeshare Exit Team?
One of the biggest problems we've run into over the years is people that are stuck in timeshares. You can't give them away. Nobody wants them. You can't sell them even for $1 because nobody wants to take over your fees and your increased fees and all the hassles and all the screw-ups that we've been hearing about this entire hour.
Okay, so Dave Ramsey's saying, yeah, timeshares come with a lot. They come with fees. They come with hassle. It's hard to get out of them. So Dave, you're saying, okay, well, we're not endorsing people lightly. We've had successful endorsements. So did you or did you not endorse Timeshare Exit Team? That's now being named in a lawsuit. The Attorney General and others are saying Dave engaged in fraudulent practices, according to this lawsuit.
So many years ago, a couple of young guys started a company called Timeshare Exit Team, and they were advertising on a small radio station or two here or there, and they got in touch with us and said, we want to come on the Dave Ramsey Show.
Okay, so now Timeshare Exit Team contacted you. They said that they wanted to be on your show. That's what he's saying.
You hate timeshares as much as we do, and we have a way to get people out of timeshares.
Okay, so he's saying the Timeshare Exit Team was saying we have a way to get people out.
We have a legal process with a team of lawyers to bust up into these guys.
Okay, he's saying here they had a legal process with a team of lawyers, but according to this Religion News Service article, saying that they weren't engaging in legal practices.
Guys, and to get them out. And so we said, all right, let's do that. However, you guys are small operators, and you need to understand when we tell people to come to you, you're going to get a bunch of business, and you're going to have to get your business act together.
Okay, so Dave Ramsey looked into it. He looked into Timeshare Exit Team. He's saying he's not endorsing companies lightly. He's not just doing things for taking money. He wants to do things to help people. So he's saying here that he's being careful about who he's endorsing, and he thought the Timeshare Exit Team was a good deal for the consumer, is what I'm getting here.
To say that their business exploded when I came on the air and told people Timeshare Exit Team will get you out is an understatement.
Okay, so Timeshare Exit Team, he's saying, got a lot of customers. They were on the show, the Dave Ramsey Show, and because of being on the Dave Ramsey Show, people went to Timeshare Exit Team because people trusted Dave Ramsey and Dave Ramsey's endorsements. So does that really add up with Dave Ramsey saying, okay, I was busy, I'm not responsible for the endorsement? The lawyers are saying Dave Ramsey is not responsible for the endorsement. But right here, Dave is saying, okay, we did endorse them and they got tons of business.
Their business skyrocketed over the next few years, resulting in them getting more than 20,000, almost 25,000 people out of their timeshares.
Okay, so did the people get out of the timeshares? According to this, that doesn't appear to be the case, as many people are saying, no, they didn't get us out. And we're going to hear this idea here from Dave Ramsey that because they got so much business, they couldn't fulfill all the promises that they were making. But according to this Religion News Services article, there was the money back guarantee, but people weren't getting the money. They're saying the promise came with the money back guarantee. The segment touted the money back guarantee, but people are asking for the money back, and people weren't getting the money back. Listeners' hard-earned money. Ramsey chose to profit from the money, but were they allowed to get the money back? Because if your business is so successful and can't deliver on the promises, will you say, okay, I'll be ethical. Sorry, we couldn't fulfill our end of the bargain, so we're just going to give you a refund. Is that the case?
But the problem was they were so successful that two things happened.
They were so successful. So I wonder if you have a business and you can't possibly fulfill the promises that you put out, and you still have people coming in the door, people calling you and saying, hey, we want to sign up for this, we want to pay you money to get you out of the timeshare, whatever the case might be. Like, at some point as a business owner, do you say, okay, sorry, we can't take you on because we've fulfilled how many customers we can actually work with? Like, I've worked in counseling before. I'd have a certain caseload, maybe 15, 20 people at a time. And my supervisor would say things like, hey, do you consider taking this client? Do you consider adding this to your list? And I would say, like, no, I'm just going to stay with the current caseload. I'm not adding anyone at the moment because I think it would be too much for me. Or I'm only willing to dedicate as much time here. Now, of course, it's not a perfect analogy, but if you're running a business, you're doing something on your own, you're working with others, you have to be mindful of fulfilling your promises and not taking on too much, leading to some people losing out, not much attention paid to certain clients. A friend who works at a car dealership, if there were so many customers coming in that they couldn't keep up with appointments, they couldn't sell the cars they wanted to sell because there was just so much going on. Whatever it is, it's like, okay, well, we normally get 100 customers a day, but we've been getting 200. Maybe you consider hiring more people. Maybe you consider changing your hours. Maybe you consider just saying, okay, we're only going to sell so much. We're not going to try to sell more. We're not going to try to do more. We're going to limit the scope of our business and not be trying to sell some customers. Maybe, okay, well, we expect to sell X amount of cars a month. And then if people want to place orders for cars we don't have, maybe we contact another dealership and they can't keep up with it. So we're going to say, sorry, we can't promise you this certain car. We just can't do it. Rather than taking the money, taking everything, and then not fulfilling the promises. But Dave Ramsey's saying they've been so successful. That's why they couldn't fulfill the promises. Really, really interesting, Dave.
One is they're two young guys running a business, and it's hard to scale a business that fast, and they got where they weren't returning calls that great, so we're jumping on them.
Okay, so if they're having a hard time scaling the business, they couldn't return calls, then why don't you just say, sorry, we can't take you at the moment. We've reached capacity.
We're hearing complaints because timeshare won't call us back. Timeshare won't call us back from the customer. That's not okay, and it was just because of sheer volume of business.
Sheer volume of business, that's why they didn't call back. Not that the business made mistakes taking too many people.
The second thing that happened was that they were so successful that the timeshare companies, they were feeling the pain. It was hurting them.
But were they really successful? Because according to the article, we could see here, searching for the word fake, the complaint details tactics allegedly used by Reed Hine to defraud Ramsey's listeners. After signing contracts with customers, the company would allegedly tell them to stop paying their timeshare fees and created fake property deeds aimed at convincing customers they were free of their timeshares. When customers finally discovered the schemes and demanded their refunds, Reed Hine fabricated excuses not to honor the promises or stopped returning their calls, the complaint alleges. So were they really successful? How many people were able to get out of the timeshare? How many people were not able to get out of the timeshare? It'd be interesting to see those percentages and those numbers. I don't think Ramsey's providing it. I didn't see it in the Religion News Services article. So there is that. But if it's a substantial amount of people that weren't able to get out, that timeshare exit team made these certain promises, then there seems to be legitimate grounds for this lawsuit, class action lawsuit.
So Mike Flasky, the CEO of Diamond, which has just recently been bought by Hilton Wyndham, Mike Flasky stands up in front of the ARDA and says, I'm going to commit $1 million to putting timeshare exit companies out of business. Anyone who comes at us to make us let our customers go that we're screwing, we're going to put them out of business.
Okay, so the quick summary here is that big timeshare, that this diamond timeshare, as he said, like Hilton, you mentioned Hilton, Wyndham, whatever it was. So Ramsey is alleging that the timeshare companies are committing money to try to put timeshare exit team out of business. But I didn't see any evidence or listen to any evidence of that in the Dave Ramsey interview. We go here for the show notes. We're looking here. Do we see any articles? Do we see any evidence of that? I don't see that. It's just saying, okay, here's his app. Here's the Dave Ramsey store. Buy these overpriced wallets. Here are full episodes of the Ramsey show. Not seeing any kind of description of that, any evidence of like big timeshare was out to get the timeshare companies. And if the timeshare company is saying, okay, well, you've committed these legal problems, you've committed these fraudulent acts, as the class action lawsuit is mentioning, then maybe there actually is a good case to go after timeshare exit team, regardless of who says that there are deceptive processes. Can that be the case, Dave?
We're going to do it with legal fees. We're going to do it with PR and publicity. We're hiring a publicity firm. We're going to put a team of lawyers on this.
Okay, so if there's publicity to say that timeshare exit team was not a good company, then how does that impact them fulfilling the promises they make to customers? What do you mean the legal fees? How was timeshare exit team incurring legal fees? If anything, there were customers saying the promises were not delivered. That's independent of quote unquote big timeshare saying that, oh, I'm just going to put you guys out of business. The customers are saying, hey, we paid money. You said you would get us out of our timeshare. You said there was a money back guarantee, but we never got our money back. So what happened with the money? Was that all in these like legal fees that Ramsey isn't detailing, documenting, giving us anything in the show description? If anything is out there, please, listener, let me know. But I just haven't seen it. I haven't seen this case from Ramsey. He's just going to holler later in the video, blame reporters for reporting on this thing, claiming that big timeshare was just out to get you. And it really wasn't timeshare exit team. Timeshare exit team did nothing wrong, Ramsey claims.
And he teamed up with Wyndham, and he teamed up with Blue Green, and Diamond did, and
big timeshare,
Marriott, and whoever else they could get. Westgate.
Yeah, he's just like naming all the companies. So like all these companies are colluding. But again, we're not seeing any hard evidence of this. I really haven't seen it. It's not in the video. It's not mentioned at all in this Religion News Services article. Ramsey's not providing this. He's just like going to be yelling later on. He's just going to get angry. Like, you have all these documents on your desk, Dave. Like, can you show us something proving that this collusion happened? That all these lawsuits happened? What is it here?
Gate, whoever else they could get on the list. And they decided to go after these lawyers and different companies that were running people out of timeshares. And they've got.
Okay, so if there were other companies, that's irrelevant to what's going on with timeshare exit team. If other companies were facing all this publicity, whatever, that's on the other companies. But what about timeshare exit team?
They've gotten bad stories written about people.
Okay, but how are bad stories written going to impact timeshare exit team fulfilling their promises to customers?
Including they're going after me now.
How does that impact timeshare exit team fulfilling their promises to customers? They could talk all kinds of nonsense about Dave Ramsey, but what does that have to do with the customer's promises not getting fulfilled and the customers not getting their money back when the promises were not fulfilled?
They've gotten the Attorney General in the state of Washington to try to prove that there was something false going on, and there wasn't.
Okay, you say there wasn't something false going on, but yet this is talking about defrauding customers, government officials, where we hear fake property deeds aimed at convincing customers they were free of their timeshares. Let's see. Timeshare exit team in courts found the company had acted in fraudulent manner as early as 2016. The Better Business Bureau said this. The word fraud, all fraud, comes up in the article. Shout out to Bobby Beatty, B-E-D-I, all fraud. Allegedly defrauded customers out of millions. Let's see. Lawsuit alleges Ramsey, Timeshare exit team, Happy Hour Media Group, a marketing firm with ties to Brandon Reed, one of the founders of Timeshare exit team, violated the Washington Consumer Protection Act by defrauding customers, committed negligent malrepresentation, and were guilty of unjust enrichment and conspiracy. But you're saying timeshare exit team did nothing wrong, but the lawsuit is saying there was a lot going on. After signing contracts with customers, this article says the company would allegedly tell them to stop paying their fees, created fake property deeds aimed at convincing customers they were free of their timeshares. The courts. Okay, so we went over that. So let's get back to Ramsey's video.
And timeshare exit team, although hugely successful over the years,
were they hugely successful over the years?
Has legal fees in the millions and millions of dollars now trying to defend themselves against this company.
Which company? The collusion from all these timeshare owners? What company?
And they've run out of money. They're running out of money, and so they've had to pull off of our show. They couldn't afford to advertise anymore.
Okay, but this is talking about customers paying timeshare exit team $5,000 to try to get them out of their timeshare, and then they just run out of money. So could you link us to where these legal fees were, or what was going on? Or the Better Business Bureau saying, okay, yeah, they're engaging in some deceptive practices, they're not fulfilling promises. Like, is this big timeshare? The big timeshare has all this influence over the Attorney General and the Better Business Bureau. Like, there's no reputable source, that everything is corrupted. We can't possibly trust the government in any way. And these agencies are all in the pockets of the timeshare company. Like, people were bribed or something, or like what is going on? What is the conspiracy here? You say there was the collusion, you say there was the company, but we didn't get any real thing showing that. He's just making these allegations, and I haven't heard anything in the video so far giving us a clear case for that.
They run them out of business. They're running them out of business. They're not out of business yet, but they're
no, that didn't age well.
Having to defend themselves against the Attorney General of the state of Washington. They're having to defend themselves against a massive set of lawsuits brought time and time again.
Well, maybe those massive lawsuits were because there were fraudulent practices, and that had nothing to do with the PR campaigns, people talking bad about Dave Ramsey, everything else that he's mentioned that's irrelevant to the lawsuit. The lawsuit is, okay, were there these practices? How far was Dave Ramsey linked into this thing? Does Dave Ramsey have responsibility for these customers losing out on money and the $5,000 or whatever it was not being returned?
And all they have done is get people out of timeshares. That's all they've done.
All they've done. But the lawsuit says that many people weren't able to get out of the timeshare. So you're saying, okay, they were too successful, they couldn't fulfill all the promises. So clearly it's not all they've done, as many promises were unfulfilled.
And so that's why you don't hear them on the air here anymore. And then Inside Edition shows up and ambushes me for an interview and wants to know why I endorse Timeshare Exit Team, Lisa Guerrera and Charlie. Well, Lisa Guerrera and Charlie, even though I didn't grant you an interview in your ambush in the lobby of the Dallas.
Okay, so maybe bad form from Inside Edition. They contacted Dave. Dave wasn't happy about getting ambushed, a question in public. Yeah, you're a public official. People are going to come up to you. Okay, you say no, you keep walking. I guess the thing, not the best tactics from Inside Edition, but yeah, you didn't answer the interview. Now he's saying like, oh, why did you endorse Timeshare Exit Team? He's saying earlier in the video, you endorsed, and they're asking, okay, why did you endorse? So you just walk on, okay? You're this massive public figure. You're known as America's Voice on Money, 2.67 million subscribers here on the Highlights channel for The Ramsey Show. Obviously, he has a lot of influence. So you walk on.
That was so low class, you two. You ought to know better than that.
Okay, so even if they were low class, even if they, quote unquote, ambushed him in a lobby, the question remains, was Timeshare Exit Team fulfilling promises? Were they acting in deceptive or fraudulent manners? The lawsuit is saying they did. So we'll have to wait and figure out what happened with the lawsuit. So even if people were scummy, as he says, even if you got ambushed in a lobby, the questions remain, did you endorse them? Why did you endorse them? We're asking, how much was Dave Ramsey involved in this? Did he do his due diligence looking into the companies he's endorsing that's led to people losing their money? So even if Inside Edition is this tabloid and, the reporters, Ramsey was ambushed, we still have this lawsuit. We still have the questions. So let's just continue as he gets angry here, as he usually does.
You don't think I'm going to come back and put 22 million people on notice how scummy you are?
Okay, so maybe it's the case that Inside Edition is scummy and Timeshare Exit Team is scummy and Dave Ramsey scummy.
That was so low class.
Everybody loses. Maybe they're all scummy.
So I'll answer your question. Why did I endorse Timeshare Exit Team? Because they were doing the right thing and getting people out of timeshares after.
Okay, so now he's admitting he endorsed Timeshare Exit Team. But we see in this article that his lawyers are saying he's not responsible for the endorsement of Timeshare Exit Team. So maybe this has something to do with the video being unlisted. In one case, you're saying you didn't endorse them. In this other case, you're saying you did endorse them. So he's really telling on himself.
After companies like Mikey's had screwed them. That's why I endorsed that company.
It's everyone else's fault. It's Big Timeshare. It's Inside Edition. It couldn't possibly be the case the Timeshare Exit Team was behaving in an unethical manner, as this lawsuit is alleging.
And I did it with great pride. And they got over 20,000 people out of their timeshares.
Okay, so he's saying he endorsed them with great pride. 20,000 people got out of their timeshares. But the question remains, how many people did not get out of their timeshares? Even if some people got out of the timeshares, a lot of people didn't. And that's why the class action lawsuit is happening.
Before the legal fees and the bogus stuff from bogus government officials.
The government officials are bogus. Interesting. I'd like to see some more evidence for that. The collusion between timeshare and the government, like were there bribes involved? Like what was the case? They're getting paid or they own timeshare and they're doing this for some reason. It's this grand collusion. Just not seeing that described here by Dave. I'm just not hearing it in the video. We're hearing all these allegations, but can we have something firm that this collusion is actually happening? I still haven't heard it. We're about 5 minutes into the video. And yeah, what if Timeshare Exit Team got 20,000 people out and then they start to realize, hey, we're getting even more business and we can't keep up with all the demands, so let's just stop taking new customers. But then when you're going to keep taking customers, as the lawsuit alleges, and then you're not fulfilling the promises, then that's a big problem.
Wonder how much he was paid.
The government officials are being bribed or paid by Big Timeshare. No evidence of that provided.
Wow. How much were you paid, Lisa?
Inside Edition was paid by Big Timeshare, is what Dave Ramsey is saying. Interesting. Any evidence of that, Dave?
How much was Inside Edition paid? Timeshare companies. How much did they pay you? I didn't know you could buy a story on Inside Edition. I didn't think you all were that. I knew you were tabloid.
Can you buy a story on Inside Edition? Wouldn't Dave Ramsey just be able to buy a story on Inside Edition to counteract the anti-Dave Ramsey story?
But I didn't know you were that low. Or are you just so dumb that you didn't?
Oh, it's a classic Dave Ramsey. Everyone else is dumb. Dave Ramsey is a smart guy. The listeners are dumb. Inside Edition's dumb. The Attorney General is dumb. The government's dumb. Everything's dumb.
Didn't understand you were on the wrong side of this argument on the basis of the consumer.
Okay, but you could still be on the consumer side and lament Timeshare Exit Team for not fulfilling promises.
So this is why Timeshare is not on the air anymore. Timeshare Exit Team. But guess who's still on the air?
This is
Me.
Oh, me.
Me. And
I'm still on the air, Inside Edition, even though I've taken the money. You know, he's asking how much did they pay you? How much did they pay you, Attorney General? Well, how much money did Timeshare Exit Team pay Dave Ramsey? Dave Ramsey took the money, and you know, maybe there's some kind of good faith that Dave Ramsey could engage in and say like, hey, listeners, you weren't able to get out of your timeshare, and Timeshare Exit Team gave me X amount of money, and I'd like to just ACH you or write you a check, and we're really sorry about what happened. Even if we go along with the Dave Ramsey narrative here of the big conspiracy against Timeshare Exit Team, maybe Dave Ramsey could say, hey, you know, they paid me this money to come on the show, and I'm going to try to give you back some of your money that they gave me because it obviously didn't work out, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I'm sitting in a $300 million paid-for building.
Yeah, it's just a weird flex here. So, like, okay, who has more money? Does Dave Ramsey have the money? Does Inside Edition have the money? Like, who really cares? Okay, Dave Ramsey's still on the air. What's the point of this? Who really cares? Oh, Dave Ramsey, you're flexing your expensive building and money. Well, that's kind of contrary to the frugal life that you're preaching on your show about don't be spending all this money on things, you know, live a simple life, don't look for extravagance. So it just doesn't seem to be this great angle for him to be boasting about wealth, to be boasting about an expensive building. And it's like, whoa, you're on the wrong side of the argument, Inside Edition. But look, I have money. I'm still on the air. Like, okay, I guess.
Neck deep in cash, you jerks.
Cash is trash, Dave. Credit is king.
Bring it. Bring it, Mikey. Bring it. You have done poked the wrong bear.
Mikey, come on, Mikey.
You done pissed off the wrong hillbilly.
Well,
you have messed with me enough that I am coming at
this was really sudden. Like, so who is like, he's just so mad at Inside Edition now. It's like, oh, Inside Edition, you were so bad about reporting on this, and this is what led to the downfall of Timeshare Exit Team. Oh, Inside Edition, I got ambushed in a lobby. Oh, what was me? Like, oh, Inside Edition, but look, I have all this money. Like,
you bozos, and I'm going to make a hobby out of you guys. And
a hobby. He's gonna bring you down, Mikey.
You don't understand how hillbillies work. We fight generationally.
Oh man.
Ask the Hatfields and McCoys. They don't even.
It's a race war now.
Remember why they're fighting, and they're still fighting.
Yeah, so people are fighting, and they're fighting. They don't know why, but they're still fighting. Like, oh, that doesn't sound too logical, Dave.
So, Diamond Resorts, Hilton, you made a huge mistake investing in Diamond, because I'm going to destroy your freaking investment if I have.
Okay, so now he's mad at Hilton. He's mad at Diamond. He's mad at everyone. Mikey, come on, Mikey. What's going on, Mikey? All right, so yeah, you're coming after Hilton. I guess, like, okay. I mean, you could educate people on not getting into timeshare, but they're still doing it. They're still calling into your show. People are still signing up. So yeah, I guess just educate people more about why you think timeshares aren't a good deal. And hopefully people can just say no if they think that they aren't a good deal. Like, I guess. I mean, we could have this argument of like, all right, well, maybe you can't really afford the $20,000 lease or mortgage or whatever they're asking you to pay, the down payment, finance it, all the maintenance fees. Like, all right, well, we could talk about that. We could talk about how they make it seem so appealing and how they're like using certain tactics to sell to people. Like, all right, okay, we could talk about that, but it doesn't have to be like this fight and I'm coming for you and big timeshare colluded with government officials and all this other stuff that he hasn't provided evidence for.
Have anything to do with it at all. I'm going to tell millions, tens of millions of people over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, I think he's already been doing that, actually. I think he's already had lots of YouTube videos talking about why he doesn't think timeshare is a good deal. It's like, okay, Dave, yeah, I could be with you on that, but let's like get back to Timeshare Exit Team and how they didn't fulfill promises, and now it's 2 years later or so, and now Dave Ramsey is being named in a class action lawsuit.
How bad Mike Flashke is as a CEO, how
Mikey
scummy he is, and how these companies absolutely are screwing the consumer.
Okay, but did Timeshare Exit Team screw the consumer? Did Timeshare Exit Team not deliver on its promises? Can we have any evidence for the collusion once again? Are we going to get that in the next 2-3 minutes of the video?
Over and over and over and over and
yeah, okay, two things can be true at once, Dave. The timeshare companies can have bad practices, and Timeshare Exit Team can also have bad practices. So even if we say, yeah, the timeshare people are the worst, Timeshare Exit Team can still be very bad too.
and over again. If any of you Dave Ramsey listeners go into a Diamond presentation after hearing this, I got to call you stupid.
Yeah, so again, he's calling listeners stupid. He's calling listeners dumb. It was a few minutes ago I was talking about, actually, you can kind of game the timeshare companies by going into the presentations, taking the free nights, taking the free gifts, and saying no. Now, don't just take show tickets. Don't just take a meal. You know, you want to get 3 or 4 nights out of it. You want to get some bonus points with Hilton Honors, with Wyndham, whatever the case might be. Go to a nice destination. I've gone with them. I've gone to Las Vegas twice. I've gone to Florida once. I was happy with the experience. I think I came out on top. I traded 2 hours of my time for the presentation. I got the 3 or 4 nights. I got the bonus points. I got my money back. It was good. So I went to the presentation. I took the free stuff and I left. But Dave Ramsey's not going to tell that to listeners. Like, wouldn't that be a great way to get back? Oh, sorry, there's some background noise here. But Dave Ramsey's not going to tell them to do that. It's, again, this all timeshare bad. Don't ever engage with them under any circumstances.
If any of you Dave Ramsey listeners go into a Westgate presentation after hearing this, and you walk into the tiger's cage in order to get a free pass to the zoo and pet
nobody's saying do it for a free zoo pass. That's not smart.
the tiger, hoping the tiger won't eat you, you're stupid. I'm getting a free hotel. Buy your own hotel.
Buy your own hotel. So more bad financial advice from Dave Ramsey. Here's option 1. You can go and sit in a sales presentation for 2 hours and get 3 or 4 free nights and bonus points. If we're to lowball those free hotel nights at maybe $100 a night, we get 3 nights. Let's say just 3 nights. Let's say we don't get any more. So you're going to say buy your own hotel versus sitting through a presentation for 2 hours and saying no? So, okay, we could save $300 by sitting through the presentation as a super lowball number, or we can quote unquote buy our own hotel. So I don't know about you, Dave, but I'm pretty happy to trade my time for maybe $150 an hour. And I imagine that many of your listeners would. Now you can boast about your money, Dave. Oh, I have this expensive building. Oh, I can buy everything with cash. But many of your listeners can't. And this is actually a really good opportunity for people to save money on travel. But you're just going to call people stupid and talk about a bad scenario like getting free tickets to a zoo.
Buy your own hotel.
Buy your own hotel.
You hear the guy called in the first segment? $22,000 he invested and used the thing 6 times.
Yeah, so Dave, I wouldn't recommend putting the $22,000 into timeshare. You can still listen to the presentation and get the free nights and just say no and walk away. Like, do you think so lowly of your listeners, Dave, that they just can't have the discipline to say no? To go into a presentation and be committed and like doing the research online and learning about the sales tactics of the timeshare companies. He thinks so low of his listeners. Like, is it really the case that people have so low self-control, such low discipline that they can't go into the presentation and say no at the end? And honestly, listener, if you think that you have no discipline, you're just going to say yes at the end, then maybe you just shouldn't go into the presentation. Like, I'll give you that. Like, not everybody's going to be able to deal with it, but I mean, certainly a high percentage of people can go in and just say no at the end and do their research beforehand.
That's a nice hotel. Where are you?
Buy your own hotel.
You're staying. My God. The 4 Seasons in Paris, France?
I think with points and miles, we can actually get to 4 Seasons. I know Michael Traeger from TravelZork.com, TravelZork Travel, like he'll help you get into 4 Seasons and not pay $22,000, not get involved in timeshare. And if you, of course, to my recommendation, sign up for credit cards and responsibly manage credit, you won't have to, quote unquote, buy your own hotel. You can use miles and points and stay and not even go to the timeshare presentations. But I'm still a fan of the presentations saying no. But Dave Ramsey's not going to tell you how to do that. Buy your own hotel.
I mean, you can rent out the dadgum.
Rent it out.
People, think.
Come on, people, think.
Think.
Yeah, but Dave, are you thinking? Are you going to tell people use miles and points to offset expenses for travel? You're not telling them that. You're just saying all credit cards, all debt bad. So yeah, people got doubly duped. They thought Dave Ramsey gave great financial advice, and they're alleging that timeshare exit team did not fulfill promises. Very sad.
Don't be stupid rednecks and fall. Don't
stupid rednecks. That's what he's calling you, listener. Stupid redneck.
Be stupid. These companies are straight up evil. They are sucking the lifeblood out of America's families.
Are they really? Like, Dave, you said, I'm going to talk about how bad they are. I'm going to tell you. But, like, you could go and say, hey, why don't you be mindful? Know what the tactics are. This is what they do. Read some reviews. Know what you're getting into. But he's taking this dogmatic stance of don't even take the free nights. Don't even do that. Don't do anything with them. Don't do any business with them. They're evil. Ooh. Well, yeah, they can have a dark side just like many things can. But if you, the consumer, can be smart and take advantage of great deals and not commit yourself to $22,000 to timeshare that Dave Ramsey was talking about, then you should be good to go.
And we have got to stop them from doing it. And the only way to stop them is not legally. They got too much power because they're...
Oh, they got too much power. So it's, again, this grand conspiracy.
Buying off lawyers or running lawyers. You heard that?
Buying off lawyers. Interesting.
Yeah, they're running lawyers out of business. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
The guy's having to shut down his legal practice.
Like, his voice got so low there.
Because he's overwhelmed with court costs and legal fees to protect himself because he was acting as an attorney.
Okay, can we get some evidence of that, Dave? You've made all these claims in the video, but you just haven't detailed this. Could we get a link? Could we get anything from your notes? Could we get anything from the papers? The collusion of big timeshare with the government, with lawyers, buying off lawyers. The conspiracy just gets grander and grander as we go into this video. Timeshare exit team did nothing wrong, Dave Ramsey says. It's everyone else that did things wrong.
To get people out. 15 cases that guy's got right now, and that's just one guy. How hard it was for us to find him? We found him in 24 hours, Lisa. It wasn't hard to do a little
Oh, Lisa, Inside Edition, man. Inside Edition. It wasn't hard to do investigation, he's saying. But Dave, did you do the investigation into what was going on with Timeshare Exit Team?
Investigative reporting and actually find out what's really going on in this industry. If you were...
Okay, the timeshare companies can be doing bad things, and Timeshare Exit Team can also be doing bad things.
For a real reporter.
Ooh, real reporter.
Gosh. This is not hard, you guys. This is not hard.
They're just name calling, oh, you're not a real reporter. What does it mean to be a real reporter? She's on a show, she's running clips. Yeah, okay, they might be tabloidy. Yeah, it might have been not so great form to run into you in a lobby and start asking questions, but whatever. Thin-skinned Dave Ramsey here.
When something feels slimy, you know why? 'Cause it's slimy. So, Diamond, Westgate, Wyndham, Marriott, Blue Green. Who am I leaving out here? I won't leave.
Yeah, he doesn't want to leave anyone out. Well, Dave Ramsey named in the lawsuit. We'll see what happens about it. Maybe it goes nowhere. Maybe it goes somewhere. We'll have to stay tuned on this. So listeners, if you have any updates, feel free to send them my way. I'll be looking at it, hopefully a follow-up video. Let's see here. Dave Ramsey declares war on timeshare industry. So this is what we just described with the video. He hates timeshares. He's calling timeshares fraud. Timeshare Exit Team is being called fraud. Everyone's being called fraud. They're calling Dave Ramsey fraud. It's all allegations of fraud. So we'll see what happens with the lawsuit. See what happens with Inside Edition. Inside Edition spokesperson, according to this article, rebuts Dave Ramsey's on-air comments. Inside Edition is an independent news organization with an award-winning investigative reporting unit, the spokesperson said. We were not paid by any entity or person in connection with our investigation about Timeshare Exit Team or Dave Ramsey. In the course of reporting on Timeshare Exit Team, our reporter Lisa Guerrero was injured by a person with Ramsey, which will be addressed on air in the story. So it's whatever. If the injury was BS, it's still a question of, did Timeshare Exit Team operate in an ethical manner? Dave Ramsey's oh, I got ambushed in the lobby, and they're saying oh, we got injured. It's whatever. I guess everybody's just... A spokesperson for Diamond Resorts said in a statement it would continue to challenge timeshare exit companies to protect our members and owners. Diamond Resorts remains committed to exposing deceptive timeshare exit companies and challenging nefarious operations in the court, the company said in a statement. So maybe coming out of this, we see that Dave Ramsey's slimy, timeshares are slimy, Timeshare Exit Team, these timeshare exit companies are slimy. Maybe everybody's sliming. It's slimy. It's just a big circle here of people not to deal with, unless you're just taking the free nights and a good deal for trading 2 hours of your time. As I said, let's see. Timeshare exit companies, they see opportunity to make some money off people's dissatisfaction and distrust of timeshare companies. Among dissatisfied owners is Gordon Egden, a retired lawyer from Utah. He and his wife, who are avid skiers, bought a timeshare in Colorado in 2000, Y2K. Millennium was the album at the time from Will Smith. Will Smith hasn't turned out very well in recent years. The Edgens had used their timeshare for years and had been happy with it, off on vacation there with their kids. But Edgen 74 has hurt his back and is no longer able to ski. Okay, yeah. He said he personally checked Timeshare Exit Team out and discovered they were trustworthy. So he's saying this about Dave Ramsey. He followed Dave Ramsey's endorsement. Dave Ramsey said he endorsed them. Reed Hine and Associates, a Kirkland, Washington company that does business Timeshare Exit Team, was founded in 2012. Okay, money back guarantee. Okay, video endorsement from Ramsey. Yep. But consumer protection lawsuit filed last year by the Attorney General of Washington claims Timeshare Exit Team failed to deliver on its promises. According to Attorney General's complaint, Timeshare Exit Team charges customers between $28.97 and $87.95, so that's $8,795 up front to relieve them of timeshare. Customers are told it'll take 18 months or longer for an exit. By 2020, the company has been paid by more than 38,000 customers. About half had gotten an exit from their timeshare, according to the complaint, but many of the exits are illusory, claims the Attorney General. Few unsatisfied customers get refunds. Virtually every step of the process, from the advertising to the exit letter, is unfair, deceptive, and/or outright false, according to the complaint. Timeshare Exit team told news organizations after the suit was filed, we strongly disagree with the allegations. Okay, goes on. Ramsey has shown no contrition. Ramsey's not responding to comments. It's going on legal bills. Sorry, some background noise here. So it's going on. Other people are saying, yeah, I listened to Ramsey. I took the recommendation, but Timeshare Exit team did not deliver. This person, D. Leon, said they paid the company under $7,000 for Timeshare Exit. After 3 years with no exit, they asked for a refund. When none was forthcoming, they hired a lawyer and wrote to Ramsey. So they wrote to Ramsey. Ramsey had known about this stuff. Ramsey says, yeah, they were a good company, but people are coming and saying that Ramsey's blaming everyone else here is basically what's going on, but they're not getting their money back from the company. Ramsey's claiming that the company had all these legal fees. So it's going on here. The letter claimed the deposition would be unduly burdensome for Ramsey due to his busy schedule as the head of Lampo Group and speaking engagements. Lawyers said Ramsey was not responsible for the endorsement of Timeshare Exit team. But in the video, Ramsey said multiple times that he endorsed Timeshare Exit team. So it's going on. De Leon says Ramsey has a lot to answer for. Ramsey doubled down on support. De Leon feels betrayed, saying, okay, I became debt-free. I followed Ramsey's principles, a great help. But again, I'm saying you don't need Ramsey to get out of debt, to make great decisions. I think that a lot of his advice is elsewhere, minus all the baggage, minus all this stuff of firing employees, screaming at people, calling them stupid, blah, blah, blah. We see his Twitter here. As long as you have what you need to survive physically, very few things are more important than getting out of debt as quickly as possible. Very interesting. So that's a really extreme case there. So yeah, we could be homeless. We could be on the side of the streets. We can survive physically, but we need to get out of debt as soon as possible. It's like, okay, well, you're going to be against having an apartment too. Like, we shouldn't have any entertainment. We shouldn't have any fun. We shouldn't be making investments. We just have to get out of debt as quickly as possible. So maybe Twitter's a bad medium, but when these takes come again and again on Twitter, his videos, I've covered it in other cases on my podcast episodes, on the YouTube videos, we're just not getting some great information here. We're getting a lot of bad financial takes. We don't need the cutting up the credit cards. In fact, I encourage people to use credit responsibly, but Dave Ramsey isn't talking about that at all. He's saying all credit bad, all debt bad, don't ever owe anyone any money, pay things full in cash, buy your own hotel, he's saying. It's just a lot of bad takes. So thank you for listening. Stay tuned for more content for future episodes. Visit hurdygurdytravel.com to contact me, find me on social media, read past the episodes here, select episode transcripts, and schedule a free consultation. Support my show through Subscribestar, referral links, and buying from my eBay store. Find the show on many podcast platforms and YouTube, where you can find bonus videos. Supporting me on Subscribestar will give you special perks, including a custom podcast episode, questions answered by upcoming guests, and monthly private one-on-one conversations, delving into more advanced topics I don't openly discuss at length in podcast episodes. Visit meetup.com/Philly Miles and Points to learn about Greater Philadelphia travel, credit miles and points meetups I host in Willow Grove, Pennsylvania. I hope to see you in person at a future event. Find a link in the show notes. Listen to my other podcast, the Stoic Solutions Podcast, found at stoicsolutionspodcast.com. My podcast guests and I offer practical wisdom for everyday life inspired by the ancient tradition of Stoic philosophy from Greece and Rome. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Stay tuned for more content, including some developments here in this $150 million lawsuit naming Dave Ramsey.